You know those unfunny childhood anecdotes that your parents tell at every single gathering, and they laugh as if they hadn't already heard it countless amount of times before? Well, the one in our house is when I was around 4 or 5, I heard what kids were saying at school, as you do, so I decided to ask my mum, "What's a werewolf?" And she said, "Mind your own business and don't forget to brush your face." It's not particularly funny, I know, but I think it's a pretty insightful window into my early and, I suppose, current struggles. In case you couldn't already guess, I come from a long line of hereditary werewolves, dating back to when my great-grandmother, Natasha Trofimov-Ranevsky, who was from Swansea, decided, like an idiot, to camp out in the hills one winter's evening and found herself being ravenously necked by the hairy carnivorous beast she later shared a toilet and 5 children with. Back in the old days, they used to chase us out of town with pitchforks or sticks that were on fire, forcing us to live in caves or holes or caves that looked like holes. Horrible and discriminatory, but at least you knew where you stood with people back then. Nowadays, since the dying out of primitive torture devices and the discovery of passive aggression, the modern rabble have decided to torture us with a little thing called awkward social interaction. Nobody's ferrying you out of the village towards the old abandoned windmill anymore. Angry mobs are less of a pastime. Unless you count an angry mob as a lot of shaking heads and tutting as you scan in your 4 bags of refrigerators at the self-checkout. I've tried to live a normal life. Got good marks at school, had a few decent jobs, uni degree, retained a nice group of friends, but the whole werewolf thing is incredibly hard to run away from. Just ask my victims. That's a terrible joke. Again, I'm sorry. I think you'll find that for someone who rips apart the flesh of innocent bodies on a semi-regular basis, I'm quite socially inept. I won't lie to you and say there are no benefits. You get your steps in pretty quickly. But when that big old cheese ball in the sky decides to rear their ugly head in the middle of a busy Friday night shift, it can be incredibly inconvenient. Not to mention difficult to explain to your boss, who's already concerned about the sudden absence of his wife. That's a true story. And dating is the ultimate struggle. I've yet to truly master a Tinder bio which explains how, if we met, you can't wear silver, I'll never go vegan for you, and for reasons I can't explain, I may just disappear in the middle of our date. And whatever you do, do not think, or do not even try to think, that you can change me. And I know what you're thinking, why not just be honest and explain things from the off? Well, I've tried that, and they either believe you and run away, which sucks. They don't believe you, which soon ends up in them really running away. But I understand that. It's the third response that really weirds me out, where they choose to very much not run away. I'll explain. So, I was dating this girl called Claire. She was a goth, a nihilist. It may not surprise you to know that I seem to attract this type. But she was nice, a bit intense, but nice. Considering she hated to go out during the day, and But we had some good times together. We shared a few raw steaks, watched a couple of horror movies. Some I found a bit derogatory, but hey, I've got a thick skin. Excuse me. So I decided to tell her about my condition, my family, the tutting, and she went ballistic for it. She couldn't let go of me. You'd swear she was the one with rabies, and the comments she was barking at me. "Oh, I bet you're a real beast. How hairy do you get? How hard would you bite me?" Suffice to say, I was pretty offended. I'm not some plaything, unless you throw a stick at me, in which case I'm very playful. I will always bring back that stick. And unfortunately, I don't resist easily to peer pressure. Claire got what she wanted, and she was pretty pleased for about 10 seconds. Poor Claire. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I'm just a sweet, young, cannibalistic boy who's looking for love. Now, tell me, is the first session free, or do I have to pay for it?